The Treasure of Bear Swamp, an origami story by Steve Vinik. Once upon a time, in a town near the edge of Bear Swamp, there lived a girl named Scrappy. Well, that wasn't her real name, but this girl was well known for keeping scrapbooks and making things out of scrap paper and cast-off materials. On this particular morning, Scrappy woke up inside her one-person camping tent. Her family was just going to move to a bigger town, and her parents let her sleep outside to enjoy one last day of her peaceful countryside. She reached under her pillow and pulled out a folded scrap of paper. She unfolded it and studied it for a moment. The paper contained a map, a treasure map to her hiding place in the swamp, although she really didn't need a map to help her find it. She folded up the map and put it in her pocket. Scrappy scrambled out of her tent, stretching her limbs, and walked stiffly to the back of her house, the house that she was going to leave forever. After washing up, getting dressed, and having breakfast, she told her mom that she was off to visit Bear Swamp. "I know you love that swamp so much," said her mother. "I am so sorry we are taking you away from it." Scrappy's mom reminded her to wear her boots so she wouldn't get her new gym shoes soiled in the mud of the swamp. As she ran out the door, Scrappy just missed escaping from a kiss from her mom on the top of her head. The entrance to the swamp was down a back road, past some hedges, and through an open gate. Scrappy loved the swamp dearly. She was going to miss it so much. Scrappy stopped and watched a butterfly as it fluttered from one plant to another. How lovely! It was a beautiful day in the swamp. Scrappy was especially aware of the sights, the smells, and the sounds around her as she moved slowly through her swamp, taking care not to stumble off the path and into the mucky water. As she walked further into the swamp along a boardwalk trail, she heard a deep voice calling, "Ribbit, ribbit." And then she saw a big old frog. She thought the frog was sticking its tongue out at her, but it was just catching a fly. The frog hopped a few yards away and stared at a tree. Scrappy stopped and looked. There was a young bird on a branch, just testing its wings. Scrappy and the frog watched as the bird pumped its wings and rose out of the nest to clumsily fly through the air. But after a few seconds, the bird found its rhythm and began flying further into the swamp. So the girl and the frog walked after it. Well, the frog was mostly hopping along. Scrappy and the frog came to the edge of a small lake in the middle of the swamp. Scrappy stopped to look at a water lily floating gently on the surface. The flower had 4 little cups on top of it, and it smelled sweet and fresh. "I bet that butterfly would like to visit this fellow," said Scrappy to the frog. And the frog said, "Ribbit." And the little bird flapped its wings as if it were clapping its hands. And now the bird was following them. Suddenly there was a disturbance a few yards down the lake. Something big had just splashed into the water. It was a black bear. It was the bear that gave Bear Swamp its name. Scrappy wasn't afraid of it, but she knew well enough to be cautious. Even the frog hopped to one side. But the bear was ignoring them. It was searching for fish. And here's the fish. But the slippery fish wiggled out of the bear's paw and disappeared into the water. Then there was a big splash, and even the bear took notice. The bear quickly backed out of the water and retreated into the woody area of the swamp. What was that? Wondered Scrappy. Then suddenly she saw it, leaping in the air, a piranha. This was not a native fish, but a deadly pet that someone had tossed in the lake. Piranhas have long, sharp teeth and could eat just about anything. I have to get across that lake, said Scrappy to the frog, to find my treasure. She found her two-person canoe tied to the edge of the lake. Scrappy clambered into one side and the frog hopped into the other side. Using a paddle, she propelled the boat slowly across the lake, making sure she didn't give the piranha a chance to chew on her arm. After about 20 minutes of effort, she reached the other side of the lake and carefully got out of the canoe. It's over there, she told the frog, under that rusted old boat propeller. There were a few other broken boat parts on that side of the lake that had never been cleared out. Scrappy took the heavy propeller and flipped it over and out of the way. She dug in the dirt using a scrap of wood that she found nearby and began to unearth a sealed box, her treasure chest. She did not open the box, but she tucked the box under her arm, got into the boat with the frog, and crossed the lake. She said goodbye to the bear and goodbye to the fish as she left the lake, and she said goodbye to the bird and goodbye to the frog and goodbye to the butterfly as she walked back on the trail. When she got home, her mother said, "Take off those muddy boots, please, before you come into the house." And then her mom noticed the box in Scrappy's hand. "What do you have there?" her mom asked. "A treasure chest." "Can you show me your treasure?" "Sure," said Scrappy, and she opened the box. The box is empty," her mom said. "Where did your treasure go?" Scrappy smiled brightly. "It's still here," she said. "Inside this box is the breeze of the swamp, and the flutter of the butterfly, and the hop of a frog, and the scent of a water lily, and the call of a bird, and the bubbles of a fish, and the strength of a bear. These are the treasures of Bear Swamp that I will take with me to our new home," she said. "You are my treasure," her mom said, and she kissed her on top of the head. The end.